So here is my all-time best 11. Do you know what? If we had that team now, all playing at their peak, I think we would win the Champions League. So I promised us a new way of playing. Take your eyes off the actual formation, and if you look at the team instructions, you'll see there has been a bit of a change. We're going slightly lower tempo instead of high tempo. It's a positive mentality, and we're holding our shape. Now, on the actual formation, there's some key role changes that have helped this happen. The anchor man has been key, and if you notice, we now have 2 inverted wing-backs, both on defend. If we take Daniel, for example, if you remember a couple of videos back, I noticed his crossing was absolutely abysmal. Percentage down in the 3%. Now, because we've changed him to an inverted wing-back on attack, you will now notice his cross completion percent is a whopping 30%. So he's not wasting crosses, because in that role, he doesn't cross as much, but when he does, it's a lot better. He's picking his moments. So because we have 2 guys in the DM slots here, the inverted wing-back on defend can't go into there as much as he normally would. So he still acts as a normal wing-back, staying wide, but he uses the other attributes of the inverted wing-back, meaning that he won't bomb to the byline and look for crosses and act like a winger. He will actually sit and play a ball a bit safer, more sensible. It just ties in better with what we're trying to do. Now, having said that, we still do have an alternative version of this. Better teams, like weaker teams that we're usually battering, to be honest, and it's here. In slot 1, it's the attack version. Pretty much the same as last season, just with them 2 role changes that we've brought in, the anchor man and the inverted wing-back. That combination has been surprisingly key to all this. However, I will say this before we go on. If you look at the very top there, average possession, we are top of that by a mile now. 61%, so we're dominating the ball, which is what we wanted when we flipped all this. Early days, it took us a little while to get going and settled into the system. There's a few draws in there. We weren't really firing, hit and miss here and there. But as the time went on, we started to get going. They started to find their feet. This is away to AC Milan in the Champions League. Nice away performance. In fact, the only defeat this season so far has been against Inter Milan at home, and you can see the state of the match there. You can imagine what I was doing to my computer screen. Overall, the Champions League phase was a huge success. We only lost that one match. We finished in the glorious top 8, winning 5 out of 8. At one stage in the league, it looked like we weren't going to get defeated. We were flying. In fact, it took this. It was the only thing that stopped us. A moment of madness from El Oilson. That led to our first defeat of the season to Sporting. 2 more defeats there to Benfica and Famalicão. But we have a reason for this. Now, folks, we've only lost 3 matches. We are top of the league, but it's super tight. It's like a 3-horse race with Porto and Benfica. 25 matches gone. But I'm really happy with it. Mostly because you won't believe the churn of the squad. You ready? As we sit in February, so both transfer windows are finished, transfers out now equal 318 million. We brought in 64 million worth of players to try and replace that, but 318 million is gigantic, which is why my squad is as small as it is. Okay, where do we start? Kim Min went to Leicester, 40 million rising to 42. Miroslav gone to Liverpool, 47 million. Isaac Boateng, I didn't know what to do with him, I won't lie to you. Got our money back, 20 million. Sarakan, been with us for ages, started to moan, out to Galatasaray for 15 million. Gabriel Santos, now he's gone to Crystal Palace for 64 million, which gave me a problem because he was there to replace Miroslav down the right hand side. The offer was too huge though. And the biggest of the lot, Vigas goes to Tottenham for 94 million, rising to 114 million. But in the safe stipulations where you must sell players when clauses are hit, it's a bit realistic. That's what we had to do. What it does do though, it does mean that net transfer profit of £1 billion is now getting ever closer. So how the hell do you replace all those players? So we had a free transfer in, we showed you him last time. Jesus Cortijo will play defensive midfield, along with Jose Moura, who we also showed you, but he's been playing pretty much at centre-back this season. Oliver Vidal came in from PSG for 11 million. He will play down the right-hand side after we lost those other 2. And more covered down the right-hand side is Marcus Paulo. He's only 19. He's probably going to end up pretty elite, to be honest. He cost us 16 million. Robin Alpers Stoll comes in and he's going to play either wing-back, decent cover, 12 million. Federico Gomez will supply cover on left-back for that inverted wing-back role. 19 years old, 2.5 million. And Vladimir Dokic comes in from Hammarby. I'm not sure where to play him yet. It looks like he could be a decent defensive midfielder. He cost us 1.8 million. But as you can see, no jaw-dropping talent that I've brought in to replace the others, because I'm relying on what I've already got to replace what I've sent. And this is why the formation change hasn't been massive, because we've lost too many players. So to lose that many players and then to bring in a completely new system, I thought I was asking for trouble. So at least by keeping the same system with some different team instructions, we've kept it up in our performance levels. Next season might be the one where we completely change the actual setup when we've got a gist of what sort of squad we're going to have, because at the minute I've lost so many players. So after all that upheaval, I'm pretty happy with the way they've been playing. £320 million worth of players. You'd expect this to be lower. With a new tactic, a new style of play, I think they're doing all right. We're out of the Alliance Cup in the semi-finals by Benfica, but we are in the semi-finals of the TATO de Portugal. We've got Sporting coming up. And in the round of 16, we've drawn Bayer Leverkusen, who are top of the Bundesliga, so that's a pretty tricky one. But looking at those teams that are in the Champions League now, there isn't no easy game anymore. That is... yeah, it's rough. But the league is where it's at. We need to get that title back. We've had a couple of defeats, but we are still the strongest team in the league. Now look at our defensive record. So in 25 matches, we've scored 51, so we're going 2 a match, but we've only conceded 12, which is fantastic for a new system. And I put all that down to those 2 new player roles. The inverted wing back on defend on the left and the anchor man. It's super solid now, and we're still scoring a decent amount of goals. In other news, Boavista appointed Kylian Mbappe in late November. And in February, they sacked him. So should we have a little look at the running total? Because after that season of transfers, I think we're getting up there now. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the calculator. So how do we go about this? So we've got £1 billion, right? This is always fun. 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, right? We'll add to 1 billion what we've spent, which looks to be 236 million. So let's pop that in there, and that'll equal 1.2 billion. Next, we'll take off what we've redeemed, which is 916 million pounds, which is absolutely nuts when you think about it. I didn't realize it was that big. So that's 9.1, 91. That's 916, which gives our grand total towards this £1 billion transfer profit of 320 million to go. What once seemed like an impossible task is now nearly there, isn't it? We just need a couple of players that will bring as much money as the likes of Vegas did, and that part of the challenge is almost there. Champions League, another big match, and yet again, a stupid red card. An already tricky task was made harder. We lost to the best team in the Bundesliga, 2-0 away. We needed a big performance in the return leg, and we got it. We played really well. Leo Zeno gave us a chance. Pushing forward, though, we got caught on the break after 81 minutes. Leverkusen level it up on the night, and they knock us out 3-1 on aggregate. The Champions League, we just can't get there. In fact, we're now hitting a blip, a big-time blip. 1 win in our last 7, and we've dropped to second. Even worse, it's Porto who go top. But I'll try not to be too downhearted, because the sheer volume of players that left and came in means to be anywhere near the top is a bit of a decent result. There is still work to do on this tactic, especially for next season, but for now we'll see if we can get us over the line, get us a domestic double. With Vegas leaving, Pexotto has stepped up fantastically well. In 30 games this season, he scored 12 times with 7 assists, and he's still only 19. And remember, he only cost us 3.7 million from Vitor Guimaraes. And our biggest hope this season is the front three of Pexotto, Leo Zeno and João Pedro. Those 3 together are dynamite.
Esse golo!